Alright, fine. You know what? This wasn't actually as hard as I thought it would be. The little guy surprised me. Hey guys, MasterCoX here. As you might have guessed, in the original part of this What If, as well as prior to this whole chestnut even starting, I was very reluctant to give this a go, due to the huge amount of hype going on, as well as the fact that it was one of the more unlikely scenarios to ever happen in Dragon Ball, in my humble opinion. Would Toriyama have made Krillin a Saiyan or given him anything at all? I know Toyotaro wouldn't. Nevertheless, this is a huge question that got a lot of you really excited, and I can understand why. Now, what are we talking about Krillin specifically? Well, we are talking about the idea that Krillin is brought back into the limelight with a quick fix solution that does at first glance seem like it came from a fanfiction, but I think I've done the most logical adaptation of the idea possible, at least for me. And this is something to do with probably the most overpowered group of characters within not just Dragon Ball, but the entirety of fictional space, within anime certainly. Saiyans. What if Krillin ended up as one of them? This was requested a lot, especially during our weekly What If Roundtable live streams that we do on Fridays, where you can request or suggest your own ideas that may end up as a video on this channel. And if it does, you will definitely be credited for the suggestion, as we are all for everyone having their own thoughts and experiments about Dragon Ball What Ifery. Now this one does feel like an April Fool idea, but in that avenue of thought, it was actually relatively tame. We could go deeper and zanier in terms of wacky ideas for that time of year. No, I think this could be working for a regular video. In the last part of this tale, we were umming and ahhing as to when we would implement the notion that Krillin would become a Saiyan, and that answer came about during the 5-year time skip between the original Dragon Ball and the start of Dragon Ball Z. Why then? Well, it's easy. There's plenty of time to instigate a change such as this, and have it settle in somewhat in a decent amount of time that we don't rush it. And not only that, but you give Krillin the surprise of finding out that he's a Saiyan too when Raditz shows up. He just wished to be like Goku back in the day, that's all he was asking for. He didn't realize he transfigured himself into an alien. He had no idea he had traded in his human card for a Saiyan one. Whatever the case, Krillin's addition to the Saiyan squad proved to be quite helpful in keeping Gohan from being kidnapped by Raditz, and it left Raditz on the back foot indeed, thanks to Krillin and Goku having joint powers of around 600. They could basically play a game of keep away using Gohan as the thing they're keeping away. However, this is going to be something hard to explain to the rest of the gang, so that's where Krillin got the tail. With Raditz retreating back to his pod, having given the same ultimatum to his brother as before, the attention is now placed solely on Krillin. Roshi speaks up. So just as I thought, you used the Dragon Balls to make yourself into a Saiyan thing, like Goku is. Krillin's looking a little worried, but he's not scared like before. He stands up proud, catching him by surprise. Something in him's taking charge. Yeah, I did, but I didn't know I was a Saiyan when I did it. I just wanted to be like Goku, and I guess Shenron took that literally. Goku is looking puzzled, but then understands.
Well, that does explain a lot. I feel like your energy changed a little. Felt more like mine, but hey, guess that means we're aliens, huh, buddy?
Krillin feels embarrassed, and that Roshi is judging him for taking the easy way out. Their master is looking very stern. If we didn't have the pressing matter of an alien invasion upon us, I would have a few more words for you, young man. But you have this power now, so use it. But I'm disappointed in you for resorting to such cheap tricks. Roshi walks inside and slams the door, saying no more. The rest of the gang then wheel back to Krillin for a response. But then Piccolo arrives to break the tension. Krillin never thought in his life that he'd be happy to see that guy. Piccolo, Goku, and Krillin stare at each other. But this time around, since Goku and Krillin are clearly much stronger than him, Piccolo doesn't act so snarkily, and instead acts with more urgency. It doesn't mean that he has to like the fact that he's weaker than them, but hey, he has a technique that could help them win the day outright, so he does have something to bargain with. I've been preparing this special technique. It might be able to stop that Saiyan thing. You weren't planning to use that on us now, were you? Piccolo gives off a sarcastic aura. Not at all. Don't think such things, Short Stack. I heard what you did, and I must say, you would make a great demon for being so devious. That shut him up. Piccolo then goes on to say that if they act together, they can take down that Saiyan thing with minimal fuss. Goku and Krillin would rush in, and then Piccolo can prepare whatever it is that he's got cooking. When he gives the signal, he will rush in. Now, why am I giving off the surprise of the special beam cannon sort of now, guys? Well, it's down to the fact that this is the best way that Piccolo can fight and really interact with the team given the power gap that has arisen between him and the Saiyans. He can be just as useful whilst acknowledging the divide, so it doesn't seem like he's just coming in just for the sake of the story. And with that, the three set off, Gohan staying behind under the protection of Bulma and Roshi. When the trio arrive at where Raditz is hiding, the pod which he arrived in, after tackling himself with the farmer and appearing to be a bit of a challenge, there is a stare down. Raditz thinks that Goku has already complied with his request.
Well, well, that was fast. Did you really off 100 people in minutes, brother? If that's the case, then good job.
Goku exclaims that he hasn't, and keeps his brother talking about protecting the Earth and saving humanity and all that jazz. While they're expositing about the trials of the Saiyans, this time we find out via Raditz instead of King Kai the whole thing about the non-Arcosians. Piccolo skulks into a nearby pile of bushes near a tree to charge up his attack. The attention moves to Krillin.
And you? How did you end up here? Like I said, I don't remember any other Saiyan being sent to Earth. What's your story?
This time, Raditz is a little more willing to listen, since the presence of a second Saiyan on Earth is highly unorthodox. He wants to get to the bottom of this. The truth is, I'm not a Saiyan. Not really. I made a wish to make myself like Goku, the one you call Kakarot. He then goes on to reveal the Dragon Balls to Raditz. But Raditz isn't really registering that particular chestnut. He is taking particular disgust to the notion that somebody, or something in his eyes, resorted to something so cheap to get power.
What a joke! You're no Saiyan. We actual Saiyans would never resort to shortcuts to get stronger. We earned our strength through determination and the art of battle. You don't deserve it. You will never deserve it. How dare you? How dare you!
Raditz launches himself at Krillin, but then Goku steps in to defend his friend. And the three of them end up in a massive brawl that goes on for ages, whilst Piccolo watches on, charging his attack. Do-do-do-do-do. Despite Raditz having the upper hand in terms of power, two somewhat focused powers in close quarters to him is still a pain that he has to deal with, and it's getting him all discombobulated. With a double Sunday attack, he manages to push Krillin and Goku away from him, enough to then power up a little bit. Raditz is fired up. Goku and Krillin look to each other, with the latter looking very dejected and demoralized. Not only had Roshi shown contempt for his actions, but an actual Saiyan had, effectively casting him out of anything, feeling like he doesn't belong anywhere. And they were right. He had been a coward and taken the easy way out. But Goku gives him a smile, almost as if he had heard Krillin's struggle that was going on internally. Goku hadn't given up on him. They can still win. Krillin may not have become a Saiyan the normal way, but he can't just not use this power, not when Earth is in danger. They both get up and aim two Kamehamehas in the direction of Raditz. They both face each other on opposite sides of Raditz, and Raditz can feel the hot air from both directions, but these powers are nothing that he can't handle. He just decides to take them, to try and weaken their morale. He handles them. He is able to hold the two beams back with little difficulty, it seems.
Is this the best you can do, fools? This is nothing! I have seen better performances from beings with no spine! Come on! Give me something I can work with!
As soon as he says this, his scouter goes off, registering a surge of energy. Piccolo leaps out of the undergrowth, and his forehead is sparking, him looking jubilant. This is his signal. Raditz is caught in the middle. Sure, he can hold these beams back, but these beams together could do a fair bit of damage if he lets them connect. But he can't move, because there's another thing coming at him.
Special beam cannon fire!
The beam flies towards Raditz. Raditz is now looking terrified. They caught him in a pincer maneuver. These blue beams weren't meant to finish him off. This one was. If he escapes, he will surely perish, or at least be severely injured. The beam connects, and it goes straight through him. He can feel his grip on the Kamehamehas loosen, but he's going to get it from 3 ways. Time slowing down. He looks to Krillin, who is looking angry and determined.
Not bad, imposter. Not bad.
He smiles a little before the beams then engulf him, and the resulting connection of the Kamehamehas from Krillin and Goku and the special beam cannon from Piccolo creates a massive explosion and resultant crater. Raditz is obliterated. Goku, Krillin, and Piccolo take in the scene. They have done it. Krillin collapses to the ground, crying a little. Goku walks up to him and puts a hand on his shoulder.
Buddy, you did it. You were awesome out there.
Krillin looks up and sniffs. But your brother was right. Roshi was right. I did a bad thing, Goku. Goku laughs it off, confusing Krillin somewhat.
That's not how a Saiyan would think. I should know. I'm one of them, apparently. You got to use what you got, and promise to train hard from now on to justify having this power. Okay?
He winks, and this makes the two of them laugh. Meanwhile, Piccolo is looking on the scene with a bit of derision. He'd been the one to land the finishing blow, not them. As far as he was concerned, he had saved the planet from annihilation. If only his dad could see him right now. But just then, Kami gets in touch with him.
Piccolo, are you there? It's me. We might have a problem.
Out in space, Vegeta and Nappa heard everything going down before Raditz was vaporized by the power of the 3 energy blasts, including that bit about the Dragon Balls that Krillin had blabbed, and the fact that a human had become one. They wanted to give that twerp a piece of their mind for daring to besmirch the Saiyan bloodline. That and maybe get their hands on those wish-granting orbs, that sounds kinda cool. It's a road trip to the extreme. Kami tells Piccolo it seems that 2 Saiyans were privy to the discussion and had suddenly made their way to Earth. He requests that the 3 of them then make their way to the lookout immediately.
I hate to break the love in you two, but Kami wants to talk with you.
The 2 blink for a second and then ask why. Piccolo doesn't tell them, insisting that the old man should tell them in person. You might be wondering why Piccolo's not mentioned too. Well, he chooses not to go with them, despite Kami asking him to come along as well. After they get back to Kame House and explain, Krillin and Goku, the situation, the 2 of them head to the lookout sans Piccolo.
Where's Piccolo?
Asks Kami. The 2 blink again and said that he's not here.
I had a feeling that he would do this. You see, the 2 of us don't see eye to eye, and I suspect that he let his pride get in the way of what's to come. You see, 2 more Saiyans like you are on their way here, and these 2 powers make the one that you just went up against look like a mewling infant.
Are you gonna train us, Kami?
Kami closes his eyes and sighs.
There is nothing I can do. I've taught you everything I know, Goku. I'd be wasting your time. And as for you, Krillin, you wouldn't get much out of me either. The only place I can think of where you might stand a chance of learning something is in the other world.
Kami then explains about it before suggesting that he takes them both to King Yama to see whether they can actually get special permission to go and get training from King Kai. But this leads to something bad happening here on Earth. The moment Piccolo can no longer sense Krillin and Goku on the planet, Piccolo leaps into action. He heads to Kame House where Bulma, Oolong and Roshi are chilling and explains the situation to them, and then tells them that Goku had asked him personally to take Gohan home.
Why wouldn't they just take him home when they were here earlier?
Piccolo growls softly.
They were in a hurry. They've got to go and get special training from the other world because more Saiyans are coming. Stronger than the one that was here. And since I can fly, I could get the brat back in next to no time.
Roshi and Bulma look to each other and cautiously nod, tentatively giving Gohan to Piccolo, who is going along with the whole thing. At least he's getting to go home, or so he thinks. They take off, Roshi looking uneasy. Piccolo flies for a brief while in silence looking at the kid. If those Saiyans got so strong, then maybe this kid has the same potential. It's time to experiment since he's now the strongest person on Earth. Who's gonna stop him now? Gohan then asks if they're going home, since he doesn't recognize the ground beneath him. This isn't the way home. Piccolo flatly says no. they're going to go and do some training for a while. Gohan then begins to panic and cry because he's not going to get to see his mother, and his father is gone. Piccolo can't take this whining and knocks the kid out to shut him up. The rest of the journey is in silence, with Goku and Krillin not suspecting a thing. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Will this be enough extra help to save Earth from Vegeta and Nappa? Will Piccolo be able to get anything out of Gohan without the previous revelation of the Rage Boost? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!